good morning. It's still 2 minutes in the morning. Welcome to the 14th Annual Leadership and Philanthropy Awards, hosted by the South Puget Sound Partners for Philanthropy. We're glad that you're here. I'm Norma Skydam. I'm the President and CEO of the Community Foundation of South Puget Sound, and I'm here today as the President of Partners for Philanthropy. We are going to be starting our luncheon with a blessing, which will be provided by Seth Goldstein, Rabbi Seth Goldstein from Temple Beth Hatfield.
Thank you, Norma, and thank you, everyone. It's quite an honor to be here, to be celebrating this afternoon with all of you. There's a teaching in Scripture, in our sacred text in the book of Deuteronomy. It's chapter 15, and it says that if any one of your kinsmen, if any of your needy person among your kinsmen shall be with you in your land, that you shall not harden your heart and your hand towards your needy kinsman. Rather, you must open your hand and lend him sufficient for whatever he needs. This is a fundamental teaching within my tradition, and I think we can all understand the intent behind it, a fundamental teaching around the idea of tzedakah in Hebrew, or charity, or philanthropy. And it's a recognition that those with means should reach out and help those without, and a teaching that we as individuals must do all that we can in order to uplift everyone as a society and as our community. And today in our contemporary age, we do this by making donations, by establishing organizations, by coming together in fellowship and supporting causes in so many different areas in our communities, ones that we recognize through these organizations represented here, representing youth and seniors and the arts and healthcare, homelessness, poverty, education, and many more. And so we gather today, this afternoon, to reaffirm our commitment to that endeavor, and especially to honor those who have excelled at it. There's an interesting little quirk in the Hebrew, and I read the English translation, but there's an interesting quirk in the Hebrew in that verse where it says, you shall open up your hand. It says, ki poteach miftach et yadcha. And in the Hebrew, the word for open, poteach, is actually repeated. It's said twice, even though in the translation it says it open your hand once. In the Hebrew, it's repeated. So the ancient Jewish commentators wondered, well, why is this word repeated? And they came up with two explanations. One, the word for open is repeated as a form of emphasis. That not only should you open up your hand to others, but you really must open up your hand to others. And the other explanation is that, well, we have more than one hand, right? We have two hands. So we should be able to give as much as we can. And I think both of these teachings or understandings about this verse we honor here this afternoon, because here we gather to honor those who have truly understood these two understandings of this verse, who have truly heeded this call to reach out to serve our communities, and who have done so above and beyond. So as we gather this afternoon, again, thank you, everyone, for being here. We offer our blessings and thanks. Blessed are you, the source of all life, sovereign of all space and time, who has brought us here on this afternoon, who has sustained us in life, given us the opportunity to reach out and serve our community and philanthropy, who charges us to pursue justice in our communities and concern ourselves with the needs of each and every one of us. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Seth. We will proceed at this point with our luncheon, which will be served. Immediately at the end of the time we've allotted for us to break our fast, we will be entering into the next phase of the program with a video, and that will be just the clue or the key that we're moving on. So you can, of course, continue to eat and enjoy your lunch, and we hope that you will do that. Again, welcome to this luncheon. So I'll just say again, welcome to each of you. We hope that you will be as inspired by our program as Partners in Philanthropy members have been in putting this together and learning about the wonderfully generous people throughout our large community. You know, this luncheon always has quite a profound effect on many of us that attend, and often the whispering and the talk as we go out the door is, how can it get any better than this? And because of the kind of spirit that I think generates over the hour that we're here and we learn about the award recipients, I'm going to do some of the business first. And I would like to do our acknowledging of people here so that when we're done, we can just celebrate the messages that we've heard and the people that we've heard from. So while you're continuing to eat your lunch, I'm just going to be recognizing various groups and individuals here in the room. So I would like to start out by asking all of those businesses, individuals, families that are past award recipients of Partners in Philanthropy to stand up and let us recognize you. So, would you do that? I know there are many of you throughout the room. Our ongoing gratitude is extended to you. I would also like to just say that I hope you had the opportunity to see some of the slides that were circulating through and looping through. Those are slides of the 43 representative organizations that are in and members of Partners in Philanthropy. They're a partner amongst the 43 of us, and they're partners with you in building a better, stronger, kinder community. To put this luncheon together, we had a wonderful committee that was chaired by Susan Callender of the YMCA and Barb Wakefield from CYS, and then we had a committee, and those members are listed on your program, and I would just like to acknowledge them. Babette Beckham, Amy Briggs, Susan Callender, Kelsey Hulse, Cecilia Lovelace, Katya Miltimore, Paula Rowan, myself, Trudy Sukup, Deb Vinsel, Barbara Wakefield, and Jocelyn Wood. Let's just give them a hand. In previous years, we've held this wonderful event at St. Martin's University, and because our audience size kept growing, we had to move it, and this year we all know, we're at the Red Lion. And the Red Lion this year is waiving their traditional fee for hosting a reception like this and is asking that instead their contribution would be made back to Partners in Philanthropy. We will be using that generosity to support the scholarships that allow other nonprofits that are smaller to afford to join the group, or perhaps for some of our members to attend programs that help advance the field of philanthropy. So thank you to Red Lion. We have a group of individuals, 4 individuals, who committed their time to helping us select those organizations, businesses, and families that are recognized this year. And I'd like to just mention those people. They're listed on your committee, on your program. Gayla Durr from Twin Star Credit Union, former recipient, Ann Flanagan from the Washington State Employees Credit Union, Brian Fletch from Sunset Air, Jim Green. Each of those individuals represents an organization or a family or business that's been recognized in prior years. Let's give them a hand. We're privileged today to have with us Representative Denny Heck. We know him in our community. He's a friend of our community, and I'd like to invite him at this point to come up to the podium and say a few words to us. Congressman.
Thank you, Norma, very, very much, and congratulations to the South Sound Partners for Philanthropy for putting on this wonderful event, and thank you all who made it possible, and all of you who are being recognized today. I think in just about every community, but especially in this, our own beloved community, there is an awful lot of philanthropy that goes unnoticed, frankly, but when it is brought out of hiding, it touches our hearts. I want you to know that Rabbi Goldstein and I have amended Scripture. He referred to the tradition of tzedakah. Actually, the highest form of tzedakah is that it be an anonymous gift because nothing is expected in return. Seth and I have decided to amend Scripture such that we acknowledge generosity so that it can be multiplied many times over. Because the truth of the matter is, there's no more powerful contagion than a generosity of heart. And I can prove it to you. Who among us does not recall the incredible image of the video captured by the tourist in New York some years ago of a New York police officer buying boots for the homeless man who was shoeless sitting in the cold? Who among us is not aware that 1.9 million Americans recently donated to help find a cure for ALS, and, by the way, dumped a bucket of ice on their head? And who among us does not remember 5-year-old Miles, the leukemia survivor in San Francisco, who dressed up as Bat Kid and inspired all of San Francisco, if not the world? Generosity of heart is a contagion, and today it's on full display. Please, those of you who are being recognized, never, ever, ever underestimate the multiplication power of your generosity. And on behalf of everyone else sitting in this room, never underestimate the depth of our gratitude for your generosity in helping make this a better community in which to live. Congratulations to all those being recognized. May it inspire each of us to give even more. Thank you.
You know, life has so many wonderful nuances in it. And one of those nuances came in the form of a gift to me several years ago when I had the opportunity to meet Casey Keegan. And I would like you to hear more about Casey Keegan, our speaker, on a short video that we're going to present to you at this time.
Casey Keegan is a lifelong resident of Olympia, Washington. She's been involved in community service since her childhood, volunteering for many organizations, her church, and school. She developed a reputation early in her life for her organizing and managing skills. In 2009, as a member of the Olympia High School Interact Club, she co-led the effort to bring Nobel Peace nominee Greg Mortensen to Olympia. Along with organizing the event, she led the effort to raise the $25,000 necessary to make the event a reality. In the end, more than $71,000 was raised to cover event expenses, with the balance donated to Mortensen's Central Asia Institute. In recognition for her efforts, Casey was named as one of Seattle Asian Weekly magazine's top 5 recipients of their Diversity Makes a Difference Scholarship Award. She was also honored in 2010 with Thurston County's Diversity Youth of the Year Award and was named the Young Philanthropist of the Year by the South Sound Partners for Philanthropy. Casey is currently employed as an administrative assistant at Kidder Matthews in Bellevue, where she is attending college and continues to be involved in community service whenever possible.
It's with great pleasure and a sense of real joy that I introduce to you Casey Keegan.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for having me here. And thank you so much for coming. I love having the opportunity to surround myself with fellow philanthropists. But what is a philanthropist exactly? What does it mean? Webster's dictionary describes a philanthropist as one who makes an active effort to promote human welfare. But we aren't here because we know or we want to know the dictionary's definition of what a philanthropist is. We're here because we know what it is to be a philanthropist. To everyone, it means something a little different. To you, it may be giving 10% of your annual salary to your favorite charity, or maybe delivering meals to the sick and elderly in your community. It could also mean traveling to another country to help them receive clean water. But whatever it may be, we're here celebrating those who have truly captured what being a philanthropist means to them. 4 years ago, at this very luncheon, I received Young Philanthropist of the Year. It was an incredible honor that still to this day warms my heart. That was the day that I realized what being a philanthropist meant to me. What it meant in my heart was putting others before myself, leaving people better than when I found them, and most of all, giving until I couldn't give anymore. That doesn't necessarily mean going out and cleaning out your bank accounts and donating all of your money or all of your time. What it meant is that even in my everyday life, I could be a philanthropist. You can make an active effort for the benefit of someone else. That could mean bringing your friend a gift in the middle of the day just so that their day is better, or buying a coffee for the person you don't know behind you in Starbucks. In doing small things like that, you quickly find out that your life just gets better. Not because anything is different, but because you helped someone else have a better day. These days, it seems harder and harder to find those people who think of others before themselves, ones who truly enjoy giving of themselves for the benefit of the people around them. When you open the newspaper or watch the news in the morning, what do you see? I see people suffering all over the world. It doesn't matter how much or how little a particular person has. They can be suffering internally, or they can be publicly suffering. Sometimes I like to look a little harder on these news sites and in the newspaper. I look for stories that give me hope. And every once in a while, I come across a couple stories of a young person doing as much as they can to make the world better. In some cases, it's because they can't make it better for themselves. They have realized that some things are out of their control, and the best thing they can do is make it better for those in the future. A few stories in particular really got to me. The first story is of an incredible young boy with a very difficult journey. His name is Harry Moseley. He's from the United Kingdom. When he was 6 years old, he found out that he had an inoperable cancerous brain tumor sitting right above his brainstem. He was in and out of the hospital going through chemo and radiation therapy. In one of his visits, he met a man named Robert. He had the same type of brain tumor that he had. They soon got to talking and became very good friends. When things took a turn for the worse for Robert, Harry decided to take action. He started making bracelets to raise money for his friend. Unfortunately, Robert passed away. But that didn't stop Harry. He continued to make the bracelets for the benefit of brain tumor research. He wanted to make sure that no one in the future would have to go through what he and Harry did what he and his friend Robert did. Harry made very many public speeches and won many awards, like the UK's Kindest Kid Award, for his efforts. When Harry was 11 years old, his headaches increased. He started to be admitted to the hospital more often. He had fluid building up in his brain due to the growth of the tumor. But the fluid buildup gave his family hope. They would be able to operate through the ventricles in his brain. It was still very risky, but they had to do it. Unfortunately, Harry was not able to survive the surgery. The memory of Harry still lives on. The donations that are made in his name are now used to purchase supplies for other cancer patients so that they can make bracelets and sell them for the benefit of research. Harry was an inspiration to many and an inspiration to me. He couldn't change the situation for himself. He could have easily given up. He could have done nothing to help the situation. At a very young age, he knew he could do something. He had an idea and he ran with it. That selfless act has not only inspired many, but has increased funds for brain tumor research and has raised awareness. The second story I'm going to share is of a very young person who just merely saw a problem and wanted to fix it. At the ripe young age of 5 years old, a little girl named Phoebe saw a person panhandling in the streets of San Francisco. She asked her teacher one day why there were people on the streets asking for money. Her teacher explained that some people don't have jobs. They aren't able to feed themselves. This made Phoebe very sad. She knew she had to complete a service project before she could graduate kindergarten. So, what she decided to do was collect cans, because in California, they're all worth 5 cents, and she knew that it would build up. So over the next few weeks, she started collecting those cans at her school and turning them in for money. After receiving the money, she would count it and then send it off to the food bank. Phoebe, by collecting all those cans for a mere few weeks, was able to collect over $3,000 for the San Francisco Food Bank. It's incredible what a little girl with just an idea can do. The third and final story that I will share with you all is one that you are probably more familiar with. Her name is Malayla. She's a 17-year-old girl who has always been an advocate for young women in Pakistan. She gave women hope that their children, or more specifically their daughters, would be able to receive an education. Due to her efforts as an advocate for women's education, Malayla knew that she had a death threat on her head from the Taliban, but it didn't scare her. She kept on fighting for women's education. 2 years ago, she was walking home from school, and shots fired. Malayla had been shot in the head by a member of the Taliban, but there was one thing that the Taliban didn't count on: her survival. She continued her education and gave a speech to the United Nations. She was later nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. That year, she didn't receive the award, but little did she know that the next year she would be nominated again and would win. Malayla has told her story by writing a book and hosting live video chats. UN Secretary described her as a brave and gentle advocate of peace who through the simple act of going to school became a global teacher. There are millions of young philanthropists all over the globe, just like Harry, Phoebe, and Malayla. And they all have one thing in common: selflessness. As children, we are like sponges. Everything and everyone we experience is brand new. We learn from those experiences and from those people. But how can we teach the next generation to be like Harry, Phoebe, or Malayla? Many say it starts at home. This is true to some degree. As I was growing up, I always saw my mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother doing things all over the community, whether it be collecting things for various drives at school, like clothing or books, or giving money to those in need, or teaching people about the history of our community. I was surrounded by a family of givers, and this helped form me into who I am. But it wasn't just that. My kindergarten teacher, Miss Hutter, used to bring meals to the elderly and suffering that could not make it for themselves. The teacher's assistant, Grandma Jean, she used to show us the utmost kindness, always making sure everyone was enjoying their day, and always giving of herself when anyone needed it. It was a combination of my home life and the people at school that taught me what it was to be kind and selfless. But again, how do we teach the young people in our community to be philanthropic and selfless? We teach them by example. We show them by our actions and how we interact with each other. We need to get kids involved in philanthropy early. That's how I became who I am. But who is that? Who is this 20-something-year-old girl standing in front of you? Many of you know me through my parents, or from church, or from the project I initiated and helped chair back in 2010. But for those who don't know me, I'm Casey Keegan. I'm a 23-year-old administrative assistant, born and raised in Olympia. I am a friend, a sister, a daughter, and a philanthropist. In late 2009, I was 17 years old, and I felt like I could do anything. I wanted to come up with something for my senior project the upcoming year that would inspire others and that would help others, and that would also get me a high enough grade to where I could graduate. In my junior English class taught by Todd McDougall, we were reading 3 Cups of Tea, a book inspired by and co-written by Greg Mortensen. Reading that book made me want to help him in his cause. I wanted to help educate the young people in Afghanistan and Pakistan. I wanted to give them the same opportunities I had. So I came up with this wild and crazy idea to bring Greg Mortensen to Olympia so that he could inspire the kids here to do something for someone other than themselves, and also to think on a more global scale. The preceding year and a half turned out to be the hardest, yet the most rewarding year and a half of my life. What started as a wild and crazy idea by a 17-year-old kid turned out to be an incredible community event that yielded way over $50,000 for Greg Mortensen's efforts overseas, and that I truly believe inspired many people, young and old, around the area to give back when they could. During the planning stages, I made so many incredible connections, and I got the opportunity to work with local business owners, local officials, service groups, students, and other philanthropists. They all believed in my wild and crazy idea that actually turned out not to be so wild and crazy, but rather an inspiring idea by a kid that just wanted to make a difference. In the years since, I have tried my very best to continue helping others. I have volunteered for my church, the food bank, and most recently helped rebuild an outdoor school. I helped raise money for the Muscular Dystrophy Association and have donated to many causes throughout the Puget Sound. My goals for the future have always essentially been the same. I want to finish school. I want to start my own nonprofit organization for the benefit of providing education for those who may not have the same access I did. Being a philanthropist is who I am. It is a part of me that will never change. I want to leave you with some final thoughts to help you reflect on why you became a philanthropist and maybe light that fire again within you. Sometimes we can get so wrapped up in our lives that we forget about the people around us, the ones that need help the most. I know there were a couple years after I graduated where I lost my way and wasn't doing as much as I could in regards to philanthropy. So I asked myself the same questions I'm going to ask you. They helped me realize that helping others is part of who I am. So, what does being a philanthropist mean to you? What do you do in your everyday life to set an example for those around you? And last but not least, what do you or what will you do going forward to help form the next generation of philanthropists? Thank you.
I think we're in good hands, don't you, when you think about the future? Thank you, Casey. We wish you well wherever your paths take you. We know that others will benefit. I think you're one of those people who believes that a good deed can never be done too soon. Thank you. We'd like to move now into that portion of the program where we have the wonderful opportunity to acknowledge the award recipients of this year's Leadership and Philanthropy Luncheon. We're going to be starting off by looking at and learning about the business of the year, Port Blakely Tree Farms. And we will be showing some information about them via a video. So let her roll.
Port Blakely Tree Farms owns and manages forest land in Washington and Oregon. Environmental stewardship is a driving principle of their business. But in addition to caring for the environment, Port Blakely Tree Farms cares about the communities in which they operate. Port Blakely Tree Farms have been generous contributors to nonprofit organizations in Thurston, Mason, and Lewis counties. Their philanthropy supports a diverse range of groups, including museums, foundations, the arts, schools, and health and human services. Financial support is only part of the story. The people of Port Blakely Tree Farms volunteer hundreds of hours every year, a testament to the philosophy of stewardship that guides the business operations. For more than 150 years, Port Blakely Tree Farms have worked in and supported communities with timber-based economies. Our entire region benefits from their environmental stewardship, philanthropic spirit, and legacy of generosity.
I would at this point like to ask Court Stanley from Port Blakely, the president of the organization, to come up and accept the award from Partners in Philanthropy.
I just want to say it's an honor for me to accept this award for Port Blakely. We're a family-owned company. It is our 150th birthday, and I think I can speak for every employee, is that we're fortunate to work for a family that encourages and allows us to not only support the communities we're in, not only with dollars, but also with time and with our hands. So thank you very much.
Our next award will be in the category of Individual Philanthropist of the Year. And I'd like to introduce a short video and to acknowledge the work of Lori Berriman.
Lori and I grew up on Tumwater Hill together. We were 2 doors down from each other, and so we've been friends ever since. I've known her for close to 40 years. Lori is a person that puts a priority on her family, on her business family, the employees and team that she works with, and also her community. And so I just see her fingerprints on a lot of different events in this community and giving back. And there's a lot of things that she gives to that no one even knows about. I know that whenever I'm in a situation that I'm supporting an event and I'm asking for some financial support, it's hands down, Lori's there to help me out. And I've always appreciated that because she knows it comes back to you. She's got a smile on her face and she's just positive, and I think that she teaches us all a lesson of how we can live our life and be good participants in our community.
So I'd like to introduce Lori Berriman to you, and she is going to say a few words to us. Lori, congratulations.
Well, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Brian did get one thing wrong. We've known each other for over 50 years. And he's been a dear friend of all my life. I thought when I was 5 I was going to marry him, so he's very special, dear friend, and he does a lot for our community as well. But I just want to say thank you. I've been born and raised in this community, and the community has been very good to me, and I feel very blessed. Thank you.
Our next recognition award is for the family or the couple of the year. And this is, we're going to do things a wee bit differently this year because it just turns out that our award recipients, Melanie Stewart and Wayne Williams, are in Mexico. The nerve, you know, they're not here today. But we have one of the family members who will be accepting the award on their behalf. Two of the daughters are here, and that's lovely. And so Brooke Johnson will be accepting the award after we see a short video. And our speaker on this video is Ron Rance.
I know them in a variety of ways. I think I met them, golly, it had to be 15 to 20 years ago. And I've got to know them really well through a lot of different things these days. We do a lot of things together. We do a lot of nonprofit things together. Boy, they're just one of the great couples that we have in this community for all kinds of things. We travel outside of the country in Central America, in both Guatemala and Mexico. We're doing mission kinds of work. There's no pretensions with those two. They're just common everyday people that I really enjoy being around. So I don't know how they choose the things they do. Sometimes, you know, they go with me because I ask them to do that. You know, everyone doesn't do what they do. Everyone doesn't have the same heart that they do. So finding people to replace them would be really, really difficult. It would be a tough thing to do.
Thank you. We have a family here, some sisters, and I'm a daughter, and we wanted to share some words that our parents had written. So we thank you for selecting us from the many qualified couples as the couple of the year. We sincerely apologize for not being present with you today. Unfortunately, this date occurs in the middle of a long-planned out-of-country trip. However, we are sure our family will stand in for us admirably. Hopefully. And we want to thank you for including our names among those you have honored in the past and will honor in the future. Looking at the names of the couples of the year from previous years, we are honored and flattered to be placed in the company of generous people who we greatly admire and who have inspired us. We have been blessed to be in a position where we can support our community in various ways. We hope we have helped those who have needed a hand to flourish or to simply survive. Protecting a woman from her abuser, feeding a family in need, or setting a child on the right path is reward in itself. We have also been graced in our travels to be of aid to international communities as well. Another satisfying part of giving in our community has been meeting generous people and learning about worthy organizations like those in the room today. The little we are able to do is swallowed up in the ocean of good each and every one of you do all year. We applaud you and thank you for this recognition. Thanks.
Several years ago, the Partners in Philanthropy organization recognized that there was a gap in the categories of awards that we were giving out. And I think it's been conveyed here already very clearly by Casey that philanthropy occurs in so many different ways. Many of you are board members, volunteers in such great capacity, and what we didn't have is a way to recognize those philanthropists who give in a very special way on and on and on. And who better to us to emulate or to think about when we created a special award was Paul Grudas, who for years was the inspiring, selfless leader at the Evergreen Vista Complex in West Olympia. And so the Paul Grudas Award was created to recognize those selfless giving individuals. And we have a wonderful recipient that you will be hearing about in just a moment. Today we'll be recognizing the Paul Grudas Award recipient, Mr. Earl McNeil. So we have a short video for about that.
Well, Earl McNeil came to Senior Services by way of the Thurston County Food Bank to bring some food to our seniors through our Supportive Services program. And he just came in the door and found that's a place he wanted to also be. He's just been there for the agency, he's been there for the seniors we serve. He's just been an amazing friend to all of us.
I am honored to talk about Earl McNeil. He really is the food bank. I inherited him. I don't claim any credit for bringing him to the food bank. But he's that quiet soul that ends up being the spirit of an organization. And he sees the needs we have and then takes his skills, his gifts to engage the community in supporting the food bank.
Well, Earl is all about service in a very humble and in a very quiet way. He goes about observing, seeing a need, and filling it. And I was actually really worried, knowing that he was going to get this award, that he would say, no, I don't want to be recognized. I am so thrilled that he is there and going to be receiving it, because he is an inspiration and his service is really an inspiration to all of us.
He makes it okay to give your time. He helps people realize that it's not about the size of the gift or the amount of time or who you are, that it's okay, it's possible for anyone to make a difference. And he lives and breathes that each and every day. And that inspires others. That inspires us, it inspires the staff, it inspires me. And he shares that with his family, his friends, and the community at large. He leverages giving.
Mr. McNeil. Wasn't that wonderful? Right? How does life get better than that when you have that philosophy of service? Thank you.
So I'm quiet and humble, Robert. This award is really special to me because Paul and I were really close friends. After my recovery from acoustic neuroma surgery, and while I was learning to deal with loss of hearing and my facial paralysis, I got the feeling that every day could be the last, and that I really wanted to try to bring something positive every day, at least a little bit, to the life of people around me. And I saw Paul doing so much of that. And so I asked him if I could work for him. We worked together for several years. And I saw how much he was able to show people that he cared for them and that he really honored them. And I was really inspired by Paul. And in the years that I've been working various things in the community, I see so many people out there doing terrific, positive, even heroic things. And I'm inspired by them. So this is rather strange to me because I don't think of myself doing anything particularly that exceptional. Unique sometimes and maybe nice, but certainly not exceptional. So another reason this award is really important to me is that it does help me know that the kinds of things that I do are at least a step in the right direction. So thank you. Thank you so very much.
There's a reason why that's called the Paul Grudas Inspirational Award. Certainly Paul's message is being carried on. I'd like to ask that we give a final round of applause for Casey and for all of our award recipients today. And so we've come to the end of our 14th annual luncheon. It's with gratitude that we say thank you. It's with gratitude that we live out our lives each day, whatever opportunities come our way. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for the work that you have done in our community and the work each of you, as Casey described us all as in philanthropists, each finding our own way to give back to our community. We will look forward to seeing you here in 2015 for, again, an opportunity to celebrate giving. Thank you.